My feelings about Zero Dark 30, Kathryn Bigelow's latest film, are somewhat mixed. The film is a dramatization of the decades-long manhunt for Osama bin Laden, and stars the lovely Jessica Chastain as Maya, a CIA officer who is determined to find bin Laden. She and her colleagues interrogate terrorist cell members, sift through leads and trails of evidence, and even survive attacks in their mission to find where bin Laden is hiding. Zero Dark 30 has exceptional performances, especially from Chastain and Jason Clarke, a superlative level of realism, including a startlingly honest and disquieting depiction of the torture methods used by the CIA, and an enthralling climax in which the SEAL team finally raids bin Laden's compound and kills him. But many critics have described Zero Dark 30 as tense and suspenseful, but as I watched the film, I realized that it isn't those things, really. Don't get me wrong, I am glad that Osama bin Laden, a man who declared holy war on America and organized the murder of thousands of people, is dead. Also, after an overly dense and hard-to-follow first act, the film becomes more streamlined and engaging, as Maya and her team get closer to finding bin Laden through what could, if it weren't for the real events behind the film, be called a fortuitous plot twist. And of course, Maya and her team are threatened by acts of violence and terrorism, including the 2008 Islamabad Marriott hotel bombing, a couple of armed men shooting at her car, and the 2009 Camp Chapman bombing that killed her friend Jessica, Jennifer L., along with the broader, closer-to-home shock of the 2004 London bus bombings and other acts of domestic terrorism referenced in the film. These incidents do raise the stakes somewhat for finding bin Laden. No, I'm not one of those people who thinks that a historical drama based on true events can't be suspenseful. It took me a while to properly articulate why I thought Zero Dark 30 wasn't very suspenseful. It must be said that the way the film's narrative jumps forward in time, with title cards denoting what year we're in, does deplete the movie of tension. The incidents I described before are serious and give the characters greater dramatic impetus, but the title cards showing that we've jumped from 2003 to 2005, then to 2008, 2009, and finally 2011 indicate that, judging from what the film presents, there were several years between and around those dates in which nothing of interest happened. These uneventful interludes limit the urgency of the mission to find bin Laden. I had the same problem with The Messengers, and isn't that a weird movie to bring up for comparison? I'm aware that a historical drama depicting sequential events over a long period of time does need these dated title cards for the viewer to keep track of the setting, but I still think they serve to unknowingly diminish the tension in the film's conflict. I would also say that there is a certain level of detachment that gets in the way of my full investment in the film. Despite all of the elements I recounted, and for all Maya's zeal and ambition, the fact that finding bin Laden is Maya's job is a little too much distance between the characters and the goal/conflict for me to completely engage with the film. There is also the important question of what the characters stand to gain, aside from personal satisfaction for Maya. Looking at Argo, another recent historical drama, and now my second favorite film of 2012, the gain for the U.S. Embassy workers, escaping persecution and imprisonment from a country in the grip of anti-Westerner revolution, is much more quantifiable and immediately relevant than in Zero Dark 30. Zero Dark 30 is still a very good movie. As brought up before, the performances are excellent, with Chastain cementing her reputation as a great new talent. The film feels confronting and even gut-wrenching in its authenticity, and presents quite an intriguing, winding chase plot, even with its convoluted first act and lack of suspense. Zero Dark 30 is also commendable for impartially presenting the events of bin Laden's manhunt and death as is, and letting you draw your own judgments and conclusions. Yes, it ostensibly shows that torture gets results, but it frequently has you ask yourself, is it worth it? Even so, it's not in my top 10 list of movies from 2012, and if I were to count it as a 2013 movie, and I probably will, as it only got a mainstream release in America in January 2013, it may not end up in my top 10 of this year either. Zero Dark 30 is a movie that I enjoyed but probably won't see again and earns 4 stars out of 5. Thanks for watching. Cheers.